Welcome to our weekly podcast. We are lucky this is our 15th podcast we've put together for you folks. We have a great agent, Carlos Gutierrez. Carlos, you'll get a kick out of this. For 30 years, I made every week a Mike Ferry TV episode, and the podcasts have replaced those, and our viewership is 10 times bigger on the podcast than the Mike Ferry TV. So we're excited because we get to talk to people like Carlos Gutierrez from EXP La Jolla, San Diego, California. Carlos, first of all, how long in the business now?
I've been in since 2005.
2005.
So it's on 21 years.
21 years. What did you do before real estate?
I sold radio airtime for, I started off in 1994 with 5 Spanish radio stations selling airtime. So I'd go out and sell ads door to door, pretty much business to business. And then I transferred over to J-Core Communications that then got bought out by Clear Channel Communications.
Yes.
Ultimately had in San Diego, we had 13 radio stations and websites. And that's kind of when the web was really coming in that 99, 2000, 2001. So they really had us do a lot more direct business in regards to, just not selling radio, but selling events, concerts, things that didn't require airtime. They call that non-traditional revenue. So I was in sales previous.
What caused you to make the decision to go into real estate?
I got fired.
That's called motivation.
It was. And, I saw a book by Trump and basically it said, we've all been fired. And it had everybody on it. I think it was a book by Trump, but everybody had been fired, all these top CEOs and business people. And I saw that in the Costco and I was like, I don't feel so bad, and it was something that pushed me into thinking about what I wanted to do. And I'd sold a condo with the previous partner before. And I could do that. So I joined up with Steve Games' company at Prudential.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then, and it took me till about 2008 as the crash was just happening. We were in Las Vegas. And that was the first time I've ever been to a Mike Ferry event. I was told I need to go. So I showed up in board shorts, T-shirt, and flip-flops sitting in the very, 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 very back. And I was like, oh, my God, I need to do something. And you kept saying, go to the back and sign up. And I didn't do it at that time. And that was in July. And then you came to San Diego and Lake San Marcos. And I showed up in a suit, as I always wore to my presentations. And I joined up right then.
Good for you. That is great. I have not been fired from a job for 50 years. Prior to that, the reason I haven't is because I own the company.
Otherwise, the way to do it.
Otherwise, somebody would have fired me. I got fired 4 or 5 times before I ever started I actually started the company so I wouldn't get fired.
So, that's a great way to do it. That's motivation right there.
Yeah. So we're in good company. What the heck?
Amen.
That's for sure. You specialize in high end, I would assume.
I do. My average sales price now is bumped up to probably about 1.8 million. And as you always say, we were talking a little earlier in regards to put them, in a lot more opportunities. And and always saw that as, being a part of, things bigger than myself, community groups, a lot of nonprofit stuff in regards to helping the community. And you become with those people that are donating at a higher level. And the more that you do that and belong to a country club and things like that, you meet a lot more people with wealth. And a lot of people are afraid to call those people that are more wealthy than themselves. We all feel comfortable within our realm, but I love putting myself out there where I'm in some groups that I'm rubbing shoulders with multi-billionaires, inviting me over to their house and talking with them. And you have to earn their trust in regards to their friendship as well and to getting that business. But a lot more has been coming. So I've been dealing with 4 or 5. We're taking one here for about 4.5 million. I have another one escrow of 5.6. And those people know other people. So always got to put yourself out there and always ask that question, who else do you know now that may need my help, and be consistent on that.
What is the sell ratio on those expensive homes? If you were selling $700,000 homes in Carlsbad, the sell ratio is going to be pretty high.
Mhm.
Is the sell ratio is strong on the high end?
It's probably above the 5 million range. It's probably a little bit stronger than that 250 to 5 or 2.5 to 5 million. But everything I list, I sell.
Good for you.
Yeah, and
So
you wish you could find a home in Carlsbad for 700,000.
yeah, that's right. You get a car.
Yeah, and the average right now, the median sales price now in San Diego County is $1,060,000, up from $1,050,000 last year at the same time.
Okay. Um, so is your business primarily listing or do you work some buyers also?
I do work some buyers. I mostly my double ends, and
Yeah.
I'm almost 50-50 this year, and I'm at about 10 right now. And my goal is 52 this year, so I've got to step it up.
So 52 with an average price of almost 2 million,
Yeah,
you make a lot of money.
my goal is 2.1 million this year. So, and
Good
yeah,
for you.
yeah.
That is great. Of course, you live in one of the more expensive places in the world to live. Folks, he lives in Southern California, but specifically San Diego, but specifically handles La Jolla, and that surrounding market, which is high end,
Yeah.
high
Yeah.
end.
Yeah,
Let me tell
I
you.
live in Mission Beach, which is just about a mile from the border of La Jolla. So I belong to the board here and the board up there, and get listings up there in Mission Beach. I go anywhere in San Diego that somebody actually wants to sell. And if they're a buyer, then they have to be someone that I know and gets pre-approved. My wife's been a broker lender for about 30 years in the business, so I always ask them to at least get a second opinion from her so she can really see how much they have and are motivated. Because we've
Yeah,
seen a lot of lenders now, and I don't know what's going on in the market. Love to hear from our viewers in regards to a lot of the deals have been killed by the lenders. A little bit of
yeah.
bait and switch on lending platforms, and the buyers aren't comfortable with that, and deals fall apart. So I always make sure that they cross approve with my lender before we even open escrow on my listings.
Good for you. So if you're going to do 52 deals and you're going to be at 50-50, so 25-30 listings sold, um, what is your process for taking a listing or getting a listing? Is it
So I've
mostly referrals, or is it
yes,
mostly prospecting?
prospecting my database, and you've
Okay.
always said it for as long as I've been coaching with you now since 2009, that I should be getting 10% business from my database. So, and I follow what you say almost as much to the T as I can. And what would Mike say? So, I contact my database at least 4 times a year. Postcards. I host 2 big events. Also, my Attitude with Gratitude events, which I then have them check.
Tell me about those.
We're very blessed to be able to do what we do, and I'm sure a lot of our friends and coaching clients can appreciate that, of the things that you've taught us and the things that we have that a lot of people don't have. So we host a big event at a very good friend of mine's private event center. He's very famous, Phil's Barbecue here, and he's a very close friend of mine. I've sold homes for him as well, and I like to give people that we do business with business, as you always say, ask them for business too. And so I host an event. I call, text, email, postcard, mail, and invite everybody to dinner, drinks, live music, entertainment. But we have no chairs, so it's all connecting. Everybody's got to go and meet with people. So we do a red carpet as they come in, photo booth. I take pictures with everybody, but they have to sign in their name, their email, their phone number, how they know me, and then do they know anybody buying or selling now. So at the end of the event, the next few days or that week, I'll call everybody and thank them. And I normally add about 10 to 15 new people that are friends of friends to my database that way as well. And I probably got about 5 referrals at the last event.
And you do that how many times per year?
Do it about 2 times a year. So we just
Good
had
for
one
you.
in March. We're going to do another one in October. So you don't kind of kill the entire, experience in a sense. It's not too repetitious, and people really look forward to it.
So how many people did you have in March?
I had about 140.
Wow, that's outstanding.
Yeah, and we have great musician, food. I mean, it's, unlimited food, beverages, a kids zone. My daughter's 9, Bella, and so she had a kids zone in the back. So we promote that because some people can't find babysitting. But I mean, they're, 2, 3, 4 to, 14, 15, and they have an area out in the back. And, Bella brings art stuff and games, and they have their own photo booth. And yeah, so they have a lot. It's a family event, and a lot of our friends that have been hosting them, will do movie nights or they'll do a barbecue or something. I like to make it easier where you can just go to a place and everything's taken care of. You pay the bill and you leave. So make it
Yeah,
easy.
that's fun. So how much time do you actually spend committed to prospecting daily, or do you?
Very, very dedicated. So I spend at least between 3 and 4 hours a day. And I call it doing my walks and talks. So I live in Mission Beach, so we have flat area here. So I walk the entire market area that I live in, which we have about 2,200 homes here. Average sales price is probably about 2 million, 2.5. And I see the inventory as well as I walk, see the neighbors, and I make my calls. I make average about 35 to 40 contacts per day.
Good for you. So, being experienced as you are, what part of the business do you like the most?
I really enjoy prospecting. I do. You've ingrained it into us. It's a contact sport,
Yeah,
and without
that's
making
right.
contacts, you just can't sit around like at the up desk. And that's why I don't go to an office, because there's so many other people that are distracting to you and wanting your time. And what are you doing? And they're the ones that aren't really doing any business. So I see it of, hey, if I can walk anywhere from 2 to 6 miles a day and outside and seeing the inventory and seeing people and neighbors and making my contacts, I think it's a win-win all the way around.
You're expressive by nature, I would assume. And I think that's a big benefit to to what you're trying to do, especially the way you do it. So
Mhm.
now on the other side, which part of the business still kind of aggravates you?
It's sometimes a delegation, and watching you with Marissa, that's the thing. We need to delegate more, and have those teammates basically, think a little bit ahead of yourself, and it's really just delegating those things to having your I's dotted, T's crossed, and making sure things don't fall through the cracks, and
Yeah.
making sure that we're efficient in our time and providing the high level customer service is a big one. Definitely. So it's always upgrade, 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 is that you and Tony and Ron say, upgrade everything. And I'll never forget it. Sitting in the front, when you start asking people, what kind of car do you drive? I remember back in the day, I drive a Hyundai Genesis, and so, I made my first $1 million, and Ron was my coach at the time. And he said, okay, you made your first million. What are you going to do? And I go, I just built a beautiful new house. We have solar. I'm going to get a Tesla. And he said, well, why don't you go see this new car, the Porsche Taycan? I'm like, oh, I don't know. So my wife said, let's go test drive it. So we test drove the turbo, and I loved it, but she doesn't want to drive with me. But now we end up getting that. And but that was another thing. And upgrade your appearance is a big one. So I love fashion. As you know, I'm an expressive, so I like color. And but upgrade to the nicest things that make you feel a little uncomfortable. So wherever you go, you're the nicest dress.
Mike Ferry Events, where top producing agents get sharper. The original real estate coaching. Get registered today and invest in yourself.
That is a really great advice. I have to tell you, Sabrina drives a beautiful Porsche. I drive a much bigger car because I can't get in the Porsche. And if I do get in, I can't get out.
That's why you have the rolls with the easy door that opens up, the suicide door. So
That's right.
yeah, I'll have one of those someday. I'm going to have one. Those look beautiful. The Ghost, especially. Which one do you have?
Ghost.
Yep, perfect. Those are beautiful.
Yeah, they're beautiful cars. Somebody said, what is a Ghost? I said, that thing sitting there. They said, wow.
Yeah, they're beautiful. I've driven in one of those, and there are it's like a tank, but it's beautiful in luxury.
Well, and I know this probably sounds goofy, but the people that watch this know people like you and I.
Mhm.
Um, I drive that car because it's safer than driving a Honda Civic or whatever car. people would drive today, which are much more economical and much easier to take care of. But if you hit a Rolls Royce, you get hurt.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, totally. You're protected. Those are beautiful rides.
Yeah.
How much is something like that right now?
I think that car was about 340.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Yeah. Now that one is the one I have today is 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you can't tell the year on those cars. They all look the same. You know, the last 10 years, they might have changed something on the doorknob.
Yeah. When are you going to get a new one?
We're just talking about it. You know, I'm driving less and less and less. You know, I'm turning 81 in June, and let's put it this way: I'm hoping to turn 81 in June.
Yeah, well, keep living. Well, you know, we need you around for a long time, Mike. We have a lot of fans who love you, and I turn you on to a lot of our friends as well. And you know, that's the hardest part, Mike, is a lot of people are afraid to be successful and to be held accountable.
Yeah. Earl Nightingale says that out of every 100 people, only 5 have the desire, the emotion, the drive to be more successful than others. 95% of the people are perfectly comfortable with what they have, which makes it easier for you and I to succeed because we have less competition.
And it took me a while to realize that, and it's getting up, and it's with that attitude with gratitude, as I call it, and look what I get to do. And I ask myself every day, who would hire me to make $2 million a year? And you know, last year was 1.5 and this year 2, and I'm just like, who would do that? And what career would it be? You know, I didn't graduate college. I was a mascot for San Diego State for many years. Great, I was hired, but who would pay me that much to make that much money? And there's nobody. So, you know, if you don't get out and hustle every day, which the opportunity you have, we're healthy, we can see, we can walk, we can talk. We have to work at it every day, but it's the consistency that you've always shared is do it. And you always said, connect the dots.
Yes.
And that's it every day. And if you do it every day, I'm teaching that to my daughter, Bella, if I may share real quick.
Sure. Your daughter's great. 9,
and she's an amiable, and she won the Compassion Award at her private school, a good Catholic school, is like you were raised in, and learning those morals and those codes of ethics. And I drag her out of bed every day, and we go do a 6:15 F45. It's like a HIIT workout, high intensity, 40 minutes, and she hates Daddy at the beginning, crying. And I swear, this morning she was doing that. I pull out the video camera, and then my wife walks out of the room pissed off. I'm going like, she's never going to forget this. Every day we go and work out, come back, she's smiling. We're listening to, Kuna Matata from Lion King. And it's just, we get to do this. So if we have that idea in our head, look what we get to do to make what we want to make and to live the lifestyle. I appreciate you because you provided that, because you believed in me and everybody else that's watching this more than they believed in themselves at the beginning.
That's right. Well, I've always said, if the average agent believed in themselves as much as I believe in them, because I believe that whether they're one day in the real estate business and 21 years old, or they're year number 32 and they're 67 years old, they're equal in terms of what they can accomplish. It's just all up here. And that's the hard. Okay, you said something a minute ago that triggered. You were a mascot at the university?
San Diego State, yes. I was hired when I was 19 years young at San Diego State. The mascot was Monty Montezuma, the king of the Aztecs, and it was more of a warrior type with a flaming spear and a loincloth and a chest piece that covered a little bit. So you had to be in shape. And I had the opportunity to get hired at $50 per game and go out and throw the flaming spear at the other team and on the middle of the field at Jack Murphy Stadium, then became Qualcomm. And I played that role for many years. And that was one of the things that was my claim to fame in San Diego, like the famous San Diego chicken. I'm always compared to him, but it opened the doors to a lot of people in my business as well. I don't market as much as I probably should. Nevertheless, I'm blessed to be able to do that. And it's gone through a lot of political correctness, but I'm still doing it as a nonprofit now because the president went and killed it again. So I go and support San Diego State. I was just in Vegas for a quick 2 days a couple of weeks ago for the Mountain West basketball tournament. We didn't have much time to say hello. I'm sorry, but next time we will when we can go catch a show. But it's been something that's an alter ego, but it's something about community as well.
So you're still doing it today?
Yes, as a nonprofit, because the president is, I'm going to say the words, has gone woke and won't say why she won't have it at the university at all. But it's a huge representation as a warrior, which I believe we're all warriors in our heart. And this is the fans and the alumni and the students love it. Nevertheless, I feel we're all warriors some way. We're battling something as we are every day to get up every morning, to prospect every day. We have to be a warrior every day. And I love, what's his name that does your affirmations that starts it off at your events?
Oh, darn it. I can
From LA.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, he's always
Daniel,
he's amazing. And I loved it. I've added it into our affirmations that I do with Bella. We're a warrior for our family. We're a warrior for our life. We're a warrior. And we're warriors. And that resonated with me more than anything because I am a warrior. And it's something that has been amazing in my life and for a lot of fans as well.
I'll tell you a cute story quickly about Daniel. I worked with his company. He's part owner of a pretty good sized Century 21 company. And they've been great clients for a long time. And I would show up a couple times a year and speak for a couple hours. But Daniel would always lead 100 people in those affirmations. And of course, I didn't really believe that they did it every single day that they had a meeting until I went back 2 or 3 days in a row. And then his people came to me and said, why don't you have Daniel at that big retreat of yours on the stage? The people would love him. And I went, you know what? Let's try it. Well, he's done it now, I think 5 or 6 or 7 years in a row. Yeah. And you know what's fun about it? Carlos, the people in the front, which are like yourself, very successful and high producers and high income earners, if you could be where I am on the back of the stage, watching the expressions and the fun and the excitement that those affirmations bring, to use the expression, it warms my heart, to see that take place.
And just to hear the rest of the hotel going, what's going on in there?
They actually asked me, what day is that man going to do the affirmation? The hotel always asks, and there's always a group of people in the back of the room from the hotel that are participating.
It's something powerful, and I do it with my daughter probably almost every single day before we walk her into school, and it just shifts your mindset.
Yes.
Just a little bit every single day, and it makes you feel grateful for what you have. And your son, Matthew, when I joined coaching, I did his NLP. He was a big proponent for that as well.
Yes,
and,
that's right.
I learned it from the beginning and, did it with Bill Pipes forever. And we still share with Bill and Robert Radcliffe and Miguel Solar. I'll share those when we do a really good one. But it's something that if we lean in every day is getting up, and that just sets our mindset for what we have coming that day, what we're affirming, what we want to happen as well.
That's right. So you and I are going to do a seminar. We got 100 people. They're mostly new agents. We're going to each speak for 45 minutes or so. And they've asked me to introduce you and speak first. What message do you want to deliver to agents to help them see the opportunity that you have taken advantage of?
That's a great question, Mike. I'd go back to look what you get to do. You are an independent contractor. However, are you going to fire yourself? And just think if you had Mike Ferry there, and if they didn't know you, that's on them. But nevertheless, if they knew you were there in the coaching that they had and the components that you give them to run a successful business, you just follow your sales system step by step or as close as you can. I don't know if anybody can follow it 100%, but at least 80 to 90%, you will be successful in 1 to 2 to 3 years. Like you had Marissa on. Yes. And I remember that. I remember when she was at that event and she made her mind that she's going to be selling real estate. And when she then, hired you as a coach, her whole game shifted, and then, had kids. But if you follow the system and you listen to your coach and you have that desire, and we call it desire the fire, desire that fire that's in your heart for what you want, and set those goals of what you want, you can achieve anything. But you have to believe in yourself. You have to set your mind straight. And what your son Matthew, I've learned from him, you got to take your meds every day, your meditation, your exercise, your diet, and your sleep. And if you have those things, you can achieve it, but you have to put at least 4 to 6 hours a day into it, and mostly into prospecting. And that's the biggest thing. And you have to get in a mastermind, like you said, and you need accountability partners. So as I was sharing with you, I'm mostly working my database now. And I told my coach, I could see my downfalls. I did not stay close to my numbers. And that's a big thing that you always say, track your numbers, track your numbers. That is huge. And I'll never forget you always saying that. The more that you track your numbers, you'll know exactly week by week where you're at. If you're deficient in your contacts to hit your goal, what do you need to do? And then from there, it's basically coming with questions to your coaching appointments and seeing what you can learn from those to just shift it little by little every day, and what you're speaking to your clients. But you have to prospect every day, and if you don't prospect, you won't hit it.
Most agents scroll. Top agents study. Follow Mike Ferry on all platforms and think like top real estate agents do.
What's interesting is the general attitude of our industry of real estate is that prospecting is not important. You don't want to do it. You get rejected all the time. And then I've spoken to the insurance industry, the mortgage industry. I've spoken to companies like IBM, Xerox, and they will say to me, are you going to talk about prospecting?
Yeah.
And I said, I would like to. Why? Well, because our people prospect 7-8 hours a day. That's very common. And if they're not prospecting, they don't get to work for us.
Right.
And then I talked to a real estate company, say, you're not going to talk about prospecting, are you? I said, well, I was going to. Well, you'll lose half the audience. So what I've discovered, Carlos, is that energy, enthusiasm, the desire, the emotion, the passion for what you do is as important as anything else that you can do. And you are a great living example that I hope everybody catches on, that Carlos not only naturally is this way, he's worked at it, developed it, and the results speak for themselves.
Yeah. And let me ask you a question, Mike. In those groups you're speaking to, they're prospecting 6, 7, 8 hours a day. How much money do they probably average do they make?
The big companies, they might make a couple $100,000 a year. The smaller companies, they can make a little bit more, but it's a little bit harder work. But let's remove Southern California from
please.
Because I was born and raised in Southern California, Newport Beach.
Newport Beach.
You've been there all of your life, I believe, in San Diego, haven't you?
Yes, born and raised.
Born and raised. So we have 2 natives. One abandoned the ship and went to Nevada for tax reasons 20 years ago now. And what I've discovered is that the people that understand what you represent in real estate are going to succeed in spite of the conditions of the market, the rejection they get, the inability at times to handle some of the conversations they're involved in. But as long as they're open to learning, and that's one of the things that Sabrina and I talked about you this morning, is that Carlos is so open to learning that it makes what we do that much easier. So I would say thank you 100 times. And if we were in the same room, I'd be giving you a high five. That's for sure. So we are now at just under 30 minutes. So we're going to wrap this thing up. I want to say, Carlos, we've done, let's see, you're number 15. Right now, you have the energy of the other 14
Yeah. Well, thank you.
total.
Appreciate it. Yeah, no, I appreciate you, Mike, and we appreciate you. And you've created a legacy in regards to the real estate world, and we brag about you a lot. So we need you around. So
Thank you.
stay healthy and stay well, and keep coaching us and keep holding us accountable and believing in us as much as we believe in ourselves now with your coaching as well.
You're on. Nice to see you and talk to you very soon.
God bless. Thanks, Mike. See you guys.